Alrighty, we are back. This time in Coin Story. It's actually not a coin, it's actually three bills. This is in response to I watched the Coin Geek, and last week he made two videos about fancy serial numbers, the same serial number. The first one he had, it was the same serial number, different years, which is what you see here. The second one was the same serial number and prefix, with one of the notes being a star note. Now, first, let me say, I purchased these three notes on eBay about 10 to 11 years ago. I bought them in an auction, and I paid $134 for them, for the three pairs. It was not graded, so this right here is what launched me into NGC, because I knew that NGC had a currency department or division. I wasn't aware at the time that PCGS had one as well, so that's why I went with NGC. And I had them graded. They graded out at 6.4 to 6.6, not too bad. And I always thought it was interesting. The great thing about this, or I wouldn't say the great thing, the interesting thing about this is when you get into collecting, you normally start off with two things. When you start in the coin collecting industry, or hobby, I should say, typically you would start out with the pennies or the cents, because they're the cheapest to collect, until you realize that the further you go back, the harder it is. Getting a 22 no D, a 14D, 31S, 1909 SVDB, you realize that maybe collecting cents isn't for you. And then you try to move up the ladder with nickels and dimes. And then you always come back to trying to finish off your collection. And then the second thing you normally do once you hit that wall is see what else you can collect. And normally, well, for me and a few of my friends, we went into the dollar bill collection because it was cheap. Again, everything we're doing is cheap. Then you realize that it's harder to collect dollar bills than you initially thought. First, you realize that you collect them by the year. Then you notice that throughout the years, it changes slightly, and you get series. So you got, I think the longest running series was the 34. The 1934, it had, I think the series went up to F. And basically, this when you reach a series, you would have the first year, which would be 1935. If they print out another bill and it says 1935 Series A, that means there was a change to the bill. Normally, it would be one of the two names on the left and right side of the bill. Normally, that would change to indicate a new series. Aside from that, then you realize that there's 12 districts that print this. Then you realize that of those 12 districts, you have star notes. Then of the 12 districts, they have blocks. And then of the blocks, you also get unofficial printing, such as web notes. You have web notes that didn't indicate a series because it wasn't a signature. So you would have to find the web notes. So, and basically, in 1 year, if you had to collect dollar bills for one year, it would be a minimum of 12. If you were unfortunate, it would be a minimum of 24 if each district printed star notes. And then I would just add from there. The great thing about the Coin Geek channel was that the second video he released was, excuse me, that he had the same serial number and prefixes or suffixes No, prefix. You had the same prefix and serial number, with the suffix being changed at the end, with one as a star note. It came off the same plates and things like that. But I think what it was that the blocks were different. So as you can see in mine, that the block is different with the same serial number. So the suffix being at the end for B, B, and then the third note being a D. If the D messed up, what would happen is they would take that out and put a star on it. But then you will still have the B, and in place of the D block, it would be a star. So that's how you can get that. And the only way to figure out whether or not the Federal Reserve or the Treasury messed up is you would have to collect every block of that year. And if you actually have more notes than blocks printed, then you would realize that they never destroyed the bill made for the star note. So I always thought that was funny. In terms of how rare this particular series or this particular set is, to be honest, it unfortunately isn't as rare as you might think or you might want to believe. It is a very unique thing only because no one really goes out to search for this particular type of set. Normally they do binaries, ladders, tries, low serial numbers. They're so busy searching for the uniqueness in a single item that they generally don't try to find a unique quality across the series or across the printing years. Because mine is, I believe, it's a 6.9, 1969, and then one in 95. So you're encompassing several years in order to achieve a unique set. And most collectors typically won't do that. You can actually start doing this now, given that we're in the age of technology. You can actually Google or you can use eBay, and you can actually type in the serial number of a particular bill and see if anything comes up. And then just on a regular basis keep doing that through the internet or through eBay, because most of the times the sellers would paste or edit the serial number into the listing to do these things. And you can find several of the same serial numbers with prefix, suffix being the same. And it'll be quite easy if you're doing low serial numbers or ladders. You can actually have a ladder set through the several series. But again, you know, it's nice to look at, but in terms of putting a value on it, I haven't had any luck. I think I have more sentimental value than what it actually is. But I think I'll keep this in my collection for quite some time because I always enjoyed this, and this was the one to start me into third grade services, whereas most of the times I was just doing penny books and the Dansko albums. I never thought about getting them graded. So this was the launching point for me. And that's my story. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll check you guys out on the next one. See ya.